All of us have experienced pessimistic moments, right? Sometimes we experience pessimism because no matter what we can, what we cannot, do, or what we can do, it always seems like the opposite is happening. We cannot avoid suffering. That may cause pessimism. Sometimes we experience discouragement because we can seem to avoid sin, right? When you struggle with specific sin, you do what you can and it still happens. You may experience discouragement. Sometimes we experience cynicism when we look at society and we see so much that is wrong and so much injustice, right, and violence, then it may cause cynicism. But today we start the second week of Advent, and God has something to say about pessimism, discouragement, and cynicism. He says that they will come knocking at your door. It must happen. But of course, you are not supposed to let them in. That's the theme of today's Sunday. Pessimism, discouragement, and cynicism will come knocking at your door, but please don't let them in. So every reading talks about this. This is the message of the gospel. You have John the Baptist, telling us the message of hope. In the wilderness, the Lord is coming. The Lord is coming. You have Isaiah who preaches comfort to God's sinful people, reminding them that he is like a shepherd who gathers the sheep. The second reading, St. Peter, even if it seems that God is absent, has forgotten about us, or is powerless, he's coming. He's simply just waiting for the right moment to send in his grace. And because for God, 1,000 years is like a day, and a day is like 1,000 years. What seems like a long wait for us in reality is just the blink of an eye, right? That's what St. Peter says. This is the message of today's Sunday. Advent is, of course, one huge reminder. That's why we do it every year. Reminder that God has not forgotten about us. Because it may feel like, it's been around 2,000 years since Jesus' death and resurrection. He said, I will be back, and where is he? Have you seen him, anyone? Have you seen Jesus? No? Sometimes he comes like he did with St. Faustina, right? Sometimes he shows up. I would love to do something like this, have this kind of experience when Jesus just comes to your life and he tells you what to do. But let's be honest. Most of us haven't seen Jesus. You can see your spouse, you can see your child, you can see your friend. So where is he? Where is he? But this is the message again. God has not forgotten. He never stops thinking about us, and he's leading us with his care to this everlasting reward. That's why we have to celebrate every year his first coming, when he was born as a man, still having in mind that he will be back. He will be back for the second time. But yes, we cannot just sit and wait for him. Don't do it. St. Paul actually, in the first letter to the Thessalonians, he tells them, guys, do something. Because if you lived in Jesus' time and you knew, like, oh yeah, he's coming, and after a few years, like, he's not here, well, but if he's coming soon, what's the point of going to work? What's the point of really taking care of your life? So St. Paul told the Thessalonians, no, go to work, spread the good news. God is coming, we don't know when, but you're not supposed to just sit on the couch and just wait for him. No. Do something. Do something. So I was looking for a few examples. I found one which is actually related to us. St. Louis, as you know, that's our second parish. St. Louis, the king of France. He lived in the 13th century, and he was the king, of course, but he reigned for 52 years. And still to this day, his reign is considered one of the greatest ones. One of the best period of time in France history. So here's a few examples what King Louis did for his people, still waiting for Christ, but doing something. He used to walk through the streets of his cities just distributing money to the poor. He would go into the hospitals and homes and take care of them. He would usually nurse the worst cases himself. He would invite to his royal table dinner like 20 homeless people, and he would have dinner with them. Once it was considered, of course, a dangerous act to do. In the Middle Ages, the leprosy was still a thing, and of course, when you got this disease, it was kind of like a death sentence, and you would be exiled to the specific village, right? You know this from the Bible. That will happen in Jesus' time as well. You would spend the rest of your life in misery with other lepers, and if you want to just go outside, not too far, but just a little bit, you'd have this bell with you, just this signal for others, healthy people, not to approach you because you are sick. And of course, once St. Louis, when he heard the bell, instead of walking away, he actually he walked directly towards the sound, and then he hugged the man. Huge risk. Huge risk. When he would go to the church for the morning mass, right after the mass he would go outside and just meet with people, and those who didn't have money to go to the court and to resolve their problems with someone else, they would go directly to him because the king had the ultimate power, so he could resolve any problem at the spot. And so he did it specifically for the poor, those who couldn't really afford a lawyer. That's what St. Louis did. Right? He was always present to his people because he had discovered that God was always present to him. He didn't forget about his people the same way like God hasn't forgotten about us, and he never will. St. Peter, again, in today's second reading says, what sort of person ought you to be? That's a good question, right? Should you be pessimistic, discouraged, and cynical? Not at all. You shouldn't be. Of course, we know we shouldn't be like this. St. Peter gives us two qualities in his letter. He says again, what sort of persons ought you to be? Conducting yourselves in holiness and devotion. Okay, these two qualities. So let's really look briefly into each of them. The first one is holiness. St. Peter says our life should be marked by holiness. Now, since Father Brian is leaving in a few weeks for his sabbatical, so I'm trying to be like him more and more, right? So I have few Greek words for you. And I'm not gonna cry. I'm still learning, but it's difficult for me. No, I love Father Brian. He's great, but Greek, okay, holiness. In Greek, this word is anastrophe. Anastrophe. And so this one, holiness in Greek, refers to our behavior, okay, the way we act. So holiness doesn't mean that we go around with our heads in the clouds. That's not what holiness is in the Bible. Holiness means that we go around as Christ went around. Okay? Treating others with sincere respect, like St. Louis, that was an example, and looking for opportunities to do good to those around us. That's what holiness is. And St. Peter says, do it, behave this way. Go and be like Christ. And the second quality is devotion, and in Greek it's eusebia. And this one doesn't refer to our actions, but actually to the fundamental attitude underlying our actions. And this one comes, of course, from our relationship with Christ. Devotion isn't just a matter of saying a lot of prayers. That's not what devotion is. It's the matter of living at all times in a, personal relationship with Jesus. And that's what prayer, when we pray, we give like a nourishment. It's like we foster the devotion. And that's what makes possible, our relationship with Christ to grow. So that's what St. Peter says. Yes, go and behave like Jesus and have really good, intimate relationship with him, because this one will help you to behave this way. So now, in a few minutes, you will receive Christ. Another reminder, right? Another reminder that he hasn't forgotten about us. So when you receive him today, when he comes to nourish your souls, let's ask him to show us how this coming week, we can grow in holiness and grow in devotion. This is how you get ready for his coming, for his advent, which means the arrival. This is how we get ready, not just by sitting and waiting for him, but like Isaiah, Peter, and Saint John the Baptist say, prepare the way of the Lord. Do something. Grow in your holiness and in your devotion. So when he comes, finally, for the second time, we will be ready. We need this every year. We need this huge reminder, which is called Advent, that he's coming. Because if we don't get it, we have this tendency just to do nothing. So let's do something. Ask him today to help you to grow in holiness and devotion.